We've all been captivated by this case for so long. The 1979 disappearance of Etan Patz, little boy with the sweetest face in Soho, catalyzing a national missing children's movement. The 6-year-old was one of the first children whose disappearance was publicized in such a high-profile way. His image displayed on milk cartons.
All right, and if you've been around for a while in New York, you definitely will never forget this case. It ushered in an age of parental anxiety. Where is my child? Where are they during the day? After decades-long investigation, a former New York City convenience store clerk, Pedro Hernandez, was arrested in 2012 and was convicted of murder and kidnapping in 2017, sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.
But on Monday, a federal appeals court overturned the verdict and ordered a new trial for Hernandez, who is now 64 years old. So joining us now, Lisa Cohen, author of After Etan, you see the book there, The Missing Child Case that held America captive, and director of the DuPont Columbia Awards at Columbia Journalism School. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you taking time to be here. All right, so Lisa, you wrote this definitive book on the case. Sam's holding it right here about how America handles missing children cases going forward. Tell us about the impact and the lasting impact of what happened in 1979.
Well, this was one of the very first high-profile cases at the time. There was another one that happened soon afterwards, a little boy named Adam Walsh who went missing. And those two cases together and their parents galvanized this movement. And in many ways, it was a really positive thing. There were very few ways to track missing kids at that time. There was no communication across state lines. There were no national entities set up. And those things were established over the coming years. You're
talking about John Walsh?
Yes.
His father? Okay.
Yes.
As many of you know from America's
Most
Wanted. Yep.
Pretty iconic. And we all followed this case because in 2012, Pedro Hernandez, a suspect, finally. And then 2017, he's convicted. And now, today, 2025, the case is overturned. Gotta get your reaction.
Well, I was shocked. But I was also shocked in 2012 when I got the phone call that Pedro Hernandez had been arrested because he had actually never been on anyone's radar.
Wow.
I write in the book came out in 2009, I write a lot about another suspect that they had been tracking for decades. And he had never been arrested for anything else. He had apparently been interviewed by police when they swept the area around at the time, but no one looked at him. No one thought he had anything to do with it. So that was already a huge shock. And I think one of the things I've come to understand about this case is that I'm not shocked by anything.
Did you start to get convinced that they did get their man?
I mean, I've never been someone who says definitively what I think happened.
Sure.
I think it's largely a circumstantial case, and I think that the jury found him guilty. So.
I
Those
think
two things.
That was such a different time in so many ways. You've highlighted the ways in how we track children, how we connect to cases, but also how much the public knew about investigations. It really required someone like you to get in there and maybe do your own investigation at the same time. So when you did all of that, what were some of the other things you found that were noteworthy about this case?
Well, it's really interesting. I was looking at the New York Times coverage of this development, and they did a timeline, which of course was severely truncated for space, but they had the 1980s, and then they had 2001, which is when he was declared legally dead. And during the interim period, every once in a while the case would pop up in the news, but there were legions of investigators, like generations of investigators who were on this case, never letting it drop, tracking it all over the country, tracking it to the woods of Pennsylvania, to digging up a basement in and a museum that was the mud museum, the dirt museum. I mean, the details of this case and the investigation. I wouldn't say that I particularly investigated any new leads, but I was left in awe of all of the other people who did, all of the law enforcement.
When you have all the law enforcement agencies conducting their investigations, and you, as you mentioned, there's generations of investigators, you're taking pieces from every type of investigation to give it to us. And clearly, America was captivated, and it resonated with so many people. Thank you so much, Lisa Cohen, for being here. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We could talk so much more about this because this family still doesn't have closure. They never found Etan. And that's the saddest part about this. But Lisa Cohen, that's her book, After Etan. We appreciate it.
Thank you.